Well, Young.Wild.Free is about Brandon, who's a 17-year-old high school student growing up in South LA with his mom and his siblings, and he is overwhelmed with life and trying to be there for his family and also be there for himself and stay true to what it is that he needs to do to just feel like a regular high school kid. When it gets to a boiling point, he goes to the corner store and he is robbed by the girl of his dreams, and a romance ensues. Well, I currently live in South LA, and so it was easy from that perspective because we were basically shooting in my neighborhood. So the house that we shot at for Brandon and Lamont was literally like a 5-minute drive. So I understood that community and that neighborhood, and then also I would say South LA is probably one of the closest things to Harlem as far as having a black experience where black people in a community, they speak, you say hello, they've been there for 30 years, there's a certain flow and culture to it that is pretty much the same, and very familiar. So I would say just being familiar with that type of community allowed me to be able to shoot this in a way that felt right.
Yeah, he's going through a lot, and also there's a I don't want to give away too much of the film, but there's a journey that he goes through, and at the end of the film, I'm glad where it ends because it shows his resilience in that still, him and his mom, even though so much that is pitted against him, and then where he ends up. But I think just what I brought to the character, I think he just had to be open. I had to be open. I had to be very vulnerable. I had to know where his arc was, where his journey was, where he was at in his life, his relationship with his mom, his relationship with his little brother and sister, and then his absence of a father, which played a huge role in it, I think, as well. So I think it was those things.
I just mentioned this earlier, but I have a few friends, but one in particular who she's very wild, very just do whatever she wants, and she often acts before she thinks. And so, yeah, one particular story that actually inspired me to use her as an inspiration for the character. We were in New Orleans, and it was a moving ambulance going down the street, and she jumped on the back of a moving ambulance and was like, Sierra, come with me, like, come on. And I was like, oh my goodness, you are Cassidy, you are the person that I'm about to study for the next few weeks, because you just embody everything that, yeah, I want to emulate.
When I read this script and saw this role of this single mother who is struggling, fighting for her life, and not necessarily able to mother in the most healthy way, the fact that it was so layered and not one dimensional. I've even played, versions of this where I was frustrated by the fact that I didn't have the real dimension to even play with on the page. And so excited to see that this juicy character that I could sink my teeth into, and just to I came up in a time where you never saw a black woman behind the camera, never, and that wasn't too long ago. Literally less than, I've been in the business for the past 30 years, and just now am I starting to even hear names of women of color behind the camera. And there's a lot of progress, and there's a lot of progress to be made, and I'm here to just support. I was here to support her vision and her as a black woman, female artist. I thought that she's smart, she's prepared, she went to film school, she was ready for this, and I just wanted to do what I could to, lift that up.
Thank you.
I come from the theater. One of my, I played the ingenue all the time. That was like my type. And yet, back before I actually got into the business Hollywood, one of my fortes was character work. And it's so fun to kind of step outside of who Sanaa is. And been really craving that. And so I felt like Janice, it gave me the opportunity to kind of go back to, my chops and step outside of my comfort zone and really create a real character that, is larger than life and yet so recognizable. She is a woman who is struggling with mental health. We don't know why, but often that is rampant in poor communities, and definitely in the Black community, it's a little bit of a taboo to talk about. And so that's why I think the portrayal of these people is so important, because when you see yourself reflected and you see, oh, this person is going through something that I might be going through, or my aunt is going through, it takes away the shame. And that's why images are so important in terms of reflecting back who you are.